next presentation that we're going to have is going to be looking very quickly at what is happening here in Turkey, purely anecdotally. I think a lot of us know that Turkey has had a rough couple of years, things that have impacted on the investment climate. That being said, it has also had a record number of transactions in the face of that climate. Having been here now for the first time, spent a couple of days, I'm not surprised because the city of Istanbul, in the very least, has a huge amount of energy and entrepreneurial zeal that you can sense from you. I come from Hong Kong. We know what entrepreneurial zeal looks like. Istanbul's got it. To find out what is going on and get the real numbers, we are going to be inviting people who know numbers, of course, a partner from Deloitte's operations here in Turkey. Please help me welcome one of their top partners, Ms. Başak, Vardar, to tell us what's really going on in Turkey right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for your patience at this time of the day. And special thanks to Vardar and his team for offering me this slot. It's been a great event throughout the day, and congrats for tomorrow's sessions. So I'm pleased to address to such a distinguished audience. I'm an M&A practitioner. I started my corporate finance career in Turkey 20 years ago. My daily routine is with investors who want to invest in Turkey, all kinds from all around the world, and with Turkish corporates and entrepreneurs who want to cooperate and form partnership with investors for several reasons. When I first started my career, there was almost no sort of M&A in the Turkish market here. But in the last decade, although challenging sometimes, and especially nowadays, Turkey has been a very favorable investment environment for all investors around the world. Each year, as Deloitte Turkey, we launched an annual Turkish M&A review, which compiles information about the M&A market here in Turkey. Early this year, we have published our report for 2016. And in this report, although it's not specific to early stage investment markets, we have allocated a special section for early stage investments, as the number of angel investors and venture capitalist investments is really on significant rise for the last couple of years. So before going into the details of and sharing with some detailed insight on this part of the investment climate, I want to spend a couple of minutes to give you an overview about the general M&A environment in Turkey last year and year to date. As I said, it was a very challenging M&A environment due to several known reasons, especially due to volatile markets in the shadow of internal political tension and external political threats, as well as diminishing economic growth. So the volume of M&A transactions last year, after 2009 financial crisis, was at its lowest level. Similarly, the foreign investors' deal volume was at its lowest levels in the last decade. Having said that, the number of transactions remained largely flat, actually, mainly due to the abundance of small cap deals and middle market deals, especially backed by venture capital investors. Average deal size accordingly dropped significantly to around $30 million from $60 or $65 million in early years. This is because mainly the number of mega deals was limited, and the M&A activity in the market was mainly driven by the diversity in the SME market and in small cap deals, especially backed by VC investors and angel investors. Over the last couple of years, we are also observing a diversified base of financial investors, including not only private equity firms, but development banks, investment holdings, family offices, VC funds, and business angels. The contribution of financial investors to the total deal number last year was around 40%, which is a very significant ratio, through 100 deals. This is basically due to the numerous number of deals that venture capital firms and angel investors sealed. Turkish early-stage investment ecosystem has developed rapidly in the last 6-7 years through the contribution of business angel networks, funds of funds, VC funds, tech accelerators, technoparks, early or growth stage funds, corporate entrepreneurships, and government incentives. The number of players and stakeholders in this sector has increased notably in this period. All these, of course, contributed to the M&A activity in this segment. The average size of the early stage investment transactions is around 2 million, even lower for business angel investments. Of course, I have to say, due to its nature, the data of those kind of investments is rarely disclosed. So, although data is limited, we have been basing our research or analysis on publicly available data, and we've been able to gather some statistics in this field. Out of 100 financial investors transactions last year in 2016, around 68, i.e. 68%, which is a considerable ratio again, was sealed by those early stage investors. This also corresponded to almost 25% of the total annual deal numbers in the country. Transactions by early stage investors involve business angels and VC funds, basically. Very limited number of corporate ventures. Out of those 86 early stage investments, around 60% were made by business angels, and the remaining 40% were sealed by VC funds. In the country, factors like the rise of technology and internet, the increasing usage of mobile phones and computers, changing consumption habits or changing patterns of sales and communications boosted the number of startup investments and entrepreneurs in those related areas. And angel investors, to be frank, have been keen on investing on those entrepreneurships and pursuing the opportunities in those high growth areas while helping those entrepreneurs with their marketing, finance, and management expertise. The number of transactions in internet and mobile services and technology sectors backed by those early stage investors reached a remarkable level last year. Indeed, in terms of deal numbers, 58 deals out of the 68 deals by angel investors and VC funds have occurred in internet, mobile services, and technology. This may, of course, spread out to other sectors. It wouldn't remain only limited to technology and internet, like it has done in other markets and other countries. It would include biotech, agri, energy, consumer healthcare, cyber, as the market evolves. On another note, we observed foreign VC funds and Turkish angels or Turkish VC funds having made co-investments. Business angels in Turkey tend to do transactions either in teaming up with other business angels or with VC funds. Turkey has a great potential for startups. This is because due to the young population, large talent pool, and a risk-taking profile of the Turkish entrepreneurs. In addition to such strong demographics, of course, early stage investment market has been supported through some government incentives, as we also heard during today. And the ratio of early stage investments to GDP is still well below the European average. The European average itself is a low figure. So we expect Turkish market in early stage investments to progress rapidly in the coming years and host a higher funding, especially by business angels, VC funds. And we started to observe, although limited now, we started to observe an increasing number of corporate ventures with business appetite in investing in Turkish startups. And finally, as Deloitte, we are a global service providers for investors and corporates, including SMEs and entrepreneurs. As Deloitte Turkey, we have several initiatives in the early stage investment market. Like Fast 50, we are rewarding each year the fastest growing 50 tech companies in the country. We have some initiatives with Technical University Seed group. So we are very keen on advising Turkish startup owners and investors throughout the life cycle of a transaction with a diversified set of services, including deal preparation, deal execution, and post-deal. Thank you very much for taking the time with me.